one of the most beautiful guitar intros ever. That's Pull Me Under from Dream Theater, from Images and Words, their second full-length album, if you're not familiar. And I happened to learn how that intro was done from the man who recorded it, Doug Oberkircher. Although I was not working at Veritrax at the time. I was there 10 years later for 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. And we were doing some other Varispeed things on that, which I touched upon in my sort of overview video on those sessions. But this was something that Doug kind of showed me, like, hey, check out what we did on Pull Me Under. And I got to learn some really cool tape techniques from this. And we're going to walk through them. So I pre-recorded these guitars. First of all, to the Dream Theater fanatics out there, I did not have the right guitar to do this. So I made the best with what I did have. Petrucci played this most likely on his prototype Ibanez that became his signature model. And he actually recorded the clean bits through a Zoom 9002 processor, one of those little Zoom, probably the first Zoom. I think it came out in 1990. And these little Zoom things were really popular in studios in the early 90s. Dave Jordan has mentioned using one. I think he liked it with the Dan Electro baritone guitar, 6-string bass. Bob Rock mentioned using one with Richie Zambora on Bon Jovi album, Keep the Faith, I think was the one that they were doing around this time. And then a personal favorite, Trey from Morbid Angel used one for some of the guitar solos on Covenant, which is probably still my favorite death metal album. So in this case, Petrucci had one, and it was just a patch on there that he liked, and they ended up recording it. But to give it a little life, Doug got kind of fancy with the tape machine, which we'll get into. But, I didn't have that guitar or that processor. So I took my best sounding guitar for cleans, which is a Gibson ES339. It's kind of their, smaller bodied semi-hollow model. And I've got some oddball pickups in there. I've got an Arcane Ultratron, which is like a Gretsch style in the bridge, and then an Arcane gold foil, or gold coil, I think they call it, in the neck. And the middle position on there is like one of my favorite clean sounds of any guitar I've ever played. That was used for this. And so I couldn't really do the whammy bar bit in there. I tried to make up for it. I'll show you what I did to make up for it later on. But yeah, of course, it's not exact. And instead of the Zoom processor, I decided to use a little demo of this Nembrini Rock Dude X1000, which is like their take on the old Rockman. So I figured, headphone amp, why not? And I think it's a really cool, clean sound. Let me just solo up one track and let you hear a little bit. That's without any reverb or delay. So I thought that was a really cool sound with just the guitar direct through that. So let's talk about the process here. Petrucci has said that he played this part, I think he said about 5 or 6 times. And what they would do was vary the tape speed for every double that he did. So we're going to do this in Pro Tools. You should be able to do this in just about any DAW, although the name of the process might be slightly different, as tends to happen. But there's a couple things you have to sort of have down in order to make this work. You got to do it to a click in order to keep everything in time. Of course, if it's a guitar by itself and you're trying to double it, you need some sort of rhythmic reference, some sort of timing reference, right? So Pull Me Under was done at 102 BPM, so that's what I did this at. And the first solo guitar part that I did was recorded to the click at 102 BPM. So nothing fancy there, right? But now I have all of my tracks in Varispeed mode. So look what happens if I grab the tempo. The tempo and the pitch both drop, or they speed up. Now, obviously, a tape machine does it a lot smoother, and you can do it incrementally by going over here into the fraction, and you'll see that that's really all it takes for guitars. For some of the drum stuff that Portnoy did on 6 Degrees, yeah, some of that drum stuff that Portnoy did, we had to go pretty far off the click in order to get the effect. And we're going to do a separate drum video at some point with all that stuff too. So After recording that first one, I came down here, I recorded an exact double of it, but what I did was I increased the tempo to 102.125, so an eighth of a BPM faster. Now, what happens when you record something faster? Then when you play it back at normal speed, so I recorded it at 102.125, then I brought the tempo back to 102, and now the thing that I played a little faster is going to be slightly lower in pitch, but in this case, it's so incremental, you really can't hear a drastic difference between that and the first one. Here, we'll go back and forth a little bit. Actually, let me pan them centered. So maybe if you have a really good ear for pitch, you can hear that difference, but it's very subtle. But when you play them together, there's your chorus. So that's the beginning of this process. So then I did a third track. But for this one, I changed the tempo to one. It was actually, I got to do a little reverse math. I went down a quarter of a BPM. So it was like 101.875. And now if we listen to that one soloed, compared to the original, it should be a little higher. Again, really subtle, but there's a chorus, and there's all three together. So I've got that pair brought down a little. That's the foundation of the tone right there. And now you're probably wondering, why not just use a pitch shifter or harmonizer for this, right? Go up a few cents, down a few cents, call it a day. Well, by using Varispeed, you're also lengthening and shortening the performance ever so slightly along those lines. So if you speed it up and play it sped up and then bring it back, you are not only lowering the pitch, but you're lengthening the performance. And vice versa, if you record it at a lower speed and then bring it up to normal speed, you are not only raising the pitch, but you're shortening the performance. And I think all of that plays into how this works so well in the whole stereo spectrum. Doug never specifically said how many tracks they did. He just said they did it in both directions for left and right stereo. Petrucci said 5 or 6 times. I did it a whole bunch of times on the electric, and I went drastically further each time. So I did those first two at, an eighth of a BPM up, eighth of a BPM down. Then I did 2 more at a quarter of a BPM up and a quarter down, and then finally half and half. Once you get into a full BPM, you actually start to audibly hear the delay. It starts to sound like 2 notes instead of 1. So I stayed away from going that far with it. But let me just play these for you. I'll bring them in one at a time so you can hear. So that's our original, plus the first pair. It's a nice chorus by itself. Second pair. And of course you could vary the depth by where they are here. Let's try all of those together. So that's 5 tracks right there. And then finally, half a BPM. See, that's starting to sound like a flanger now because we're getting so far away. So So the shorter it is, the more of a chorus it is, then a little further starts to flange, and then delay is your next step. So this was cool, but we know there's an acoustic guitar in there too. In fact, I think there are doubled acoustics in there. So I just got a couple new mics that I wanted to play around with. So here's one. This is my Gibson J35, my favorite acoustic, mic'd with my new Telefunken AR51. And that's just kind of aimed right around the 12th fret, right around where the neck joins the body. And I've got a little bit of LA2A on there, just kissing it. And a little bit of Focusrite just for the top, and a little bit of high pass filter. Really subtle. That's without it. So then for doubling it, I was really happy with that acoustic sound, but I also picked up a Rode NT4 stereo mic, specifically to play around with some of the acoustic guitar miking techniques that we've seen Bob Rock and Randy Staub use in some of my past Metallica videos. They always seem to have some type of either a stereo microphone or a stereo pair along with their main acoustic microphone. So I thought I would try that out with the Rode, and here's what that sounds like. That's the stereo by itself. And it fills things out really nicely. It's the Telefunken by itself again. Just pan it in the middle for this. And I'm using a little bit, well, I'm compressing it a little bit first of all. Since it was a little further away, I gave it a little more compression. And I'm using a little bit of the Little Labs in between phase. Just because since I was playing it and recording myself, I wasn't able to move the mic in real time to hear the difference. So that's without it. So a little phasey. Nothing we can't compensate for with this wonderful tool. So, again, I kind of just hit buttons and twist things until it sounds better with this. Not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it, for me anyway. So I pan these a little unique. It sounds like acoustics panned left and right on the original. So I was going with something like this for a blend. And let's hear that one by one with some of these. So that's it with the original. That's our little guitar chorus. Guitar orchestra, if you will. Then I tried to think about what Doug might have used back then, just in terms of like knowing his preferences. And he loved the EMT 250 and he loved the AMS DMX delay. So immediately I jumped on the delay for the electric guitars. So let me get the acoustics out of there for a minute. Let's, good way to show you what this is doing. So, I tried to nail the same delay timing as the intro. And then I'm pitching it down a few cents and up a few cents. I didn't want to use the chorus because I don't remember any of the AMS DMXs having the chorus strip. The Bear Tracks one didn't, and I don't think Doug's personal unit did either. So I figured I'd stay away from that and just stick with the pitch. Even though it's on the chorus strip here, you could manually do the pitch back in the day up here. And then for the modulation, I'm using the VCO. The chorus is really like a refined version of the VCO. That's really short, actually. The actual VCO depth is a lot wider. So I tried to time it to get just enough modulation in there without it sounding, like I said, I don't have a whammy bar to do that part, but the whammy does actually add quite a bit. So you could really hear it when I'm in 100% wet mode. So I just wanted to add a little bit of that to the sounds. Again, mainly to compensate for not having a little wang bar. And then the EMT. That's a little more on the acoustics, actually. So that's just giving a little atmosphere to the acoustics. If you want to see my settings on there you go. Very subtle Studer 800 on the final mix bus here. Not nearly as drastic as it is on some of my other videos. And a little bit of EQ on the electric guitars. That's without. Just tried to match the album tone with that, that's all. So yeah, that's our little Varispeed chorus effect on these guitars, and a bit more of analog tape brilliance from Doug Oberkircher. Very, very proud to have learned some of these great things from him, and it's so cool that you could use them in modern DAWs. Again, with the Varispeed control, if I'm going to use Varispeed like a tape machine, I put it on every track. That way, if I want to manipulate it, it manipulates everything uniformly, one way or the other. Again, I did that first track without the Varispeed, and then went into Varispeed mode to alter the rest of them. And the acoustics I did just at regular tempo. I just doubled them, at 102 BPM without any Varispeed. You can see it's actually not turned on because I added them later. But yeah, fun stuff. So, Petrucci is not a particularly big fan of playing through chorus. So I think achieving the effect this way was much more organic to him. I think he must have had an aversion to, your typical sine wave VCO, the oscillator in the rate control on a lot of modulation effects like chorus and flange. And they do. The preciseness of them really does make it sound like an obvious effect, whereas this is a bit more organic, just like holding your hand on a reel of tape, for a flange. That way sounds a lot more natural, I think, than, just a sine wave going up and down over and over. And again, an absolutely timeless guitar intro. Here we are still talking about it, 35 years later or so. So I'll just play it once more. God, I could listen to that all day. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Can't wait to hear from you. And we'll be back with more. Hopefully I'm going to get around to doing some drum Varispeed stuff with my buddy Drew over here one of these weekends whenever we're both free. And yeah, please throw your ideas at me. I'm always up for playing around with new things. All right. Take care, guys.